أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين. We were discussing verse number 159 last week, and we discussed most of the verse, but we have to focus on one very important matter which the verse actually instructs the Prophet to follow, and that is mashwara, consultation with the companions, with the people. It says فَأْفُ عَنْهُمْ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ لَهُمْ وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ. So forgive them, excuse them, plead for forgiveness for them, and consult them in the affairs. I mentioned a couple of views from the commentators regarding what is the philosophy of Prophet consulting with the companions while he has access to the revelation. And I don't want to repeat that today. What I want to mention is the importance of consultation from the Quran, from the narrations, how important it is that people, the believers, when they want to decide about something, they have to have consultation with each other. They have to seek help from each other's understanding, views, and intelligence. In fact, in Surah Shura, one of the qualities by which the mu'minun are actually described, and is not something which would oppose tawakkul, as is mentioned in those verses as well, is mashwara. Amruhum shura bainahum. Their affair is decided amongst them by shura and consultation. Here the verses in Surah Shura says فَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّن شَيْءٍ فَمَتَاعُ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَمَا عِندَ اللَّهِ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. Whatever you are given are just wares of the life of this world, and what is with Allah is better. For who? لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, those who believe. وَعَلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ, and have trust on their Lord. And also for those who يَجْتَنِبُونَ كَبَائِرَ الْإِثْمِ وَالْفَوَاحِشِ, avoid grave sins and grave indecencies. وَإِذَا مَا غَضِبُوا هُمْ يَغْفِرُونَ, and when they become angry they forgive. And وَالَّذِينَ اسْتَجَابُوا لِرَبِّهِمْ, those who responded positively to their Lord. وَأَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ, they had the prayers performed correctly. أَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ, and their affair is decided among them by consultation. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ, and of course give away in charity whatever we have given them in terms of rizq and sustenance. So you see, these qualities which were mentioned for those who receive what is with Allah, what is better than this world, have these qualities. One may say, how tawakkul and consultation go together? Well, it is very easy to think about that. When we consult, we come to a conclusion, then we go ahead with that conclusion, relying on God's help, trusting in God's support, of course with right intention, good intention. There are a few narrations in this as well. There's a hadith reported from the Prophet, peace be upon him, مَا شَقَى عَبْدٌ قَطْ بِمَشْوَرَةٍ وَلَا سَعِدَ بِاسْتِغْنَاءِ رَأْيٍ. No person has ever become miserable by consultation and has never prospered by autarky, by relying only on his own opinion and thinking that he doesn't need the opinion of others. استغناء رأي. My opinion is enough to make the right decision. So this person never prospers. And also in Nahj al-Balagha, Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam mentions man istabadda bira'yihi halak. Whoever exclusively decide on his own opinion will perish. وَمَنْ شَاوَرَ الرِّجَالِ شَارَكَهَا فِي أُقُولِهِمْ. And whoever consults with people has actually shared with them in their intellect, understanding, shared on their intelligence, have put them together. And also, it is reported from the Prophet, peace be upon him, that إِذَا كَانَ أُمَرَاؤُكُمْ خِيَارُكُمْ. When your rulers are the best of you in terms of character, in terms of taqwa, piety, وَأَغْنِيَاؤُكُمْ سُمَحَاؤُكُمْ. And your well-to-do people, the most generous of all. وَأَمْرُكُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَكُمْ. And your affair is decided amongst you by consultation. فَظَهْرُ الْأَرْضِ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ مِنْ بَطْنِهَا. Living on the earth is better than to be in the grave, under the earth. وَإِذَا كَانَ أُمَرَاؤُكُمْ شِرَارُكُمْ. And when your rulers are the evil ones amongst you, وَأَغْنِيَاؤُكُمْ بُخَلَاؤُكُمْ. And your well-to-do people, the most miserly of you, amongst you. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ أَمْرُكُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَكُمْ. And your affair is not decided by consultation. فَبَطْنُ الْأَرْضِ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ مِنْ ظَهْرِهَا. So, to be under the earth, buried in the grave, is better than living on the earth. So they are very clear. I mean, these instructions are very clear. Last week, a question was raised as, so if that is the case, isn't following the fatwa of one marja, isn't it in opposition of consultation? Shouldn't we have a shura among the fuqaha to consult amongst themselves? What should be the right ruling deduced from the sources, Quran and Hadith and others? Well, it may be good to have a shura like that. However, shura is before decision. After one has made a decision, should go with the decision, as we will see later on, as the verse also implies. فَإِذَا عَزَمْتَ فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. This idea about shura of fuqaha has been there since long time, but apparently it doesn't work, because fuqaha, they discuss among themselves the matter, but after each one of them come to a conclusion that they think that this is actually the opinion that they have to follow. And this, of course, is reached after lots of consultation. I mentioned last time, usually the rulings, the fatwa of a marja is decided in the Dars Kharij after lots of discussion. And after all those discussions, then the faqih comes to the conclusion and writes the fatwa down, say, for example, in his Risala Amaliyah. The consultation is there before coming to that conclusion. However, one step further, as I think was the meaning of the question, is that why these fuqaha don't come together and issue a fatwa after consulting each other and unifying their opinions. Well, in such scientific matters, this is not possible. I mean, you cannot find in any science this to work, that scientists, of course, they might consult with each other. As you will see in the books of fatwa, the ulama actually exhaust all the fatwa of the past ulama to see what they have said, what have been their opinions. But after all these, one comes to their own conclusion. It's the same in medicine, the same in physics, the same in any other science, and even the same in politics. However, yes, I mean, in a sort of medical consultation, the several medics may have different opinions, but at the end, they may come to the conclusion that they follow one opinion rather than the other. But that also is not unifying the opinions, because scientific opinions are based on the method of research, the background, and all those things. So the fatwa is the same. Whether we can one day see that people come and do this in shura, or whether this is desirable or not. I mean, say for example, about the matter of moon sighting. Okay, Ayatollah Khomeini rahmatullah alayhi has firmly come to the opinion that if moon is sighted in one location in the earth, that's it for everyone. That is what he has come to after long research. Then others say, well, that doesn't work. Some other faqih says that doesn't work, because if we say that, maybe we have to say that, for example, noon should be the same time for everywhere in the earth, which is not possible. So we have to actually go according to the moon sighting. Then others may say that, well, is that literally sighting by the eye, or we can use other instruments and means for moon sighting? These different opinions, say for example, we have three different opinions here. Again, these fuqaha come together and want to issue one fatwa. Well, they never can do that, because they think that the other person is wrong. It's not a matter of deciding about an action. In deciding about actions, yes, of course, consultation is very good. In coming to a scientific conclusion, of course, we have to consult all the views of those scholars who have lived in the past or present, contemporary. But after we come to a conclusion firmly, this is not a matter of consultation anymore. It's a matter of thinking that this is the right ruling about the matter. So maybe since this idea of fuqaha having a shura in issuing fatwa has been there, why, since it has been there for a long time, it hasn't worked and people have not come to the conclusion that this is the better method? Is because this is not a matter of action. It's a matter of idea. It's a matter of to see what is true, what is false. And that's why it doesn't work. I don't say categorically that this is not possible or this is not desirable, but I say that this is very difficult, a very difficult matter. And even the scientists about different matters amongst themselves, they have differences of opinion. They cannot consult about it. They can consult, but at the end of the day, they may have their own opinions about it. Okay, so The shura is about, of course, making the decision before action. But after you have made the decision, you have to be firm on it. No matter who has opposed it, who has agreed with it, no matter how criticizing some people may be about that, فَإِذَا عَزَمْتَ فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. When you have come to the decision, when you have made the firm decision, then go along with that. After consultation, go along with that. And this is what the Prophet did actually in the Battle of Uhud. And then leave the rest to Allah. This is the meaning of tawakkul. Leaving the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You do something with good intention and leave the rest with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after you have, of course, shared everyone in their intellect coming to that opinion in terms of what course of action is better. Then, of course, tawakkal ala Allah. And tawakkul is تفويض الأمر إليه للثقة بحسن تدبيره. Leaving the matter to him because we trust him that he is the best one who can plan things. Ittikal is actually to leave the matter to someone else. A wakil, the solicitor. When we actually take a solicitor, employ a solicitor, we leave our legal matters to them. This is the meaning of ittikal, and that's why he's wakil. And of course, in this world, well, Allah is wakil over everything. Ala kulli shay'in wakil. At the end, it says, Inna Allah yuhibbul mutawakkilin. We have discussed the meaning of hope for Allah before. And hope means that His love is His action. That means Allah would pour down His blessings on mutawakkilin, would help them, would support them. This is the meaning of hubbullah. Inna Allah yuhibbul mutawakkilin. Otherwise, His love is not like something our life, which is a feeling, an emotion. And this has been discussed, of course, exhaustively in theology. Verse 160, أَن يَنْصُرُكُمُ اللَّهُ فَلَا غَالِبَ لَكُمْ وَإِن يَخْذُلْكُمْ فَمَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَنْصُرُكُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. If Allah helps you, no one can overcome you. But if He forsakes you, who will help you after Him? So in Allah, let all the faithful put their trust. Khidlan is the opposite of nusra. Nusra is, of course, help and support. Khidlan is to leave someone without helping them. That's why it has been translated as forsaking. In Tafsir al-Bayzawi, he actually gives examples for this very general rule. He says, أَن يَنْصُرْكُمُ اللَّهُ كَمَا نَصَرَكُمْ يَوْمَ بَدْرٍ. If Allah supports you and helps you, as He did on the battle, on the day of Badr, فَلَا غَالِبَ لَكُمْ. No one, of course, can overcome you. وَإِن يَخْذُلْكُمْ, as He did forsake you and did not help you in the day of Uhud. فَمَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَنْصُرُكُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ. Who will help you? And that means, and that's true, Allah left the mu'minun to themselves on the day of Uhud. At the beginning, when they were fighting for God, Allah was helping them. But when they started to run for the booties, Allah left them, forsake them, and that was khidlan. So if you were defeated on the day of Uhud, it's because Allah did not help you. Why Allah did not help you? Because you did not deserve that, because you did not qualify for it. You did not fulfill the conditions. And as I have said repeatedly, this has been the matter over the whole history of Muslim Ummah, Allah has many a time forsaken them because they did not fulfill the conditions to receive that nusra and support. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu in tansurullaha yansurkum. O you who have faith, if you help Allah, Allah will help you. If you support God, God will support you. This is a very clear condition set here. And the meaning of helping Allah is fighting for His religion, trying to promote the religion of God, try to helping with the spread of religion, not fighting for yourself, not having all these efforts for your own benefit. In that case, of course, although you are Muslims, although you pray, you fast, but you should not expect the succor of Allah to come. Now, in the previous verse, Allah was addressing the Prophet, فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ لِنْتَ لَهُمْ, and then the instructions He gave to the Prophet. Now He is turning to the believers. Why were you defeated in the battle of Uhud? Because Allah did not help you. Why He did not help you? Because of what you did. أَن يَنْصُرْكُمُ اللَّهُ فَلَا غَالِبَ لَكُمْ وَإِن يَخْذُلْكُمْ فَمَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَنْصُرُكُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ. So, it is very clear from this verse that the help of Allah is not unconditional. Not because you are Muslims, no. It depends what is in your heart. Why you are doing something. Even, for example, if you publish Quran, why you do that? With what intention? And then, of course, based on your intention, you receive the thawab from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In fact, it says that if you disobey God, God is not going to help you. And if you obey God, no one is going to overcome you because Allah help with you. فَمَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَنْصُرُكُمْ إِنْ يَخْذُلْكُمْ فَمَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَنْصُرُكُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ. من بعده means من بعد Allah, or من بعد خذلان Allah. After God has forsaken you, who is going to help you? Now of course this is a very clear rhetorical question. It means no one. If Allah helps you, who is going to defeat you? No one. If He forsakes you, who is going to help you? No one. Of course, that's a rhetorical question. It doesn't mean that Allah is asking this. Now, there is one question here which has actually drawn the attention of some commentators, and that is, we see sometimes believers with pure intention fight for the sake of Allah and they are defeated. Of course, the best example of that is the incident of Ashura, isn't it, in Karbala, when Imam Hussein was defeated. And that has made the question, were they not sincere in their intention? So why Allah did not help them? As it says, if يَنْصُرْكُمُ اللَّهُ فَلَا غَالِبَ لَكُمْ. If Allah helps you, no one can overcome you. Of course, one may say that here the situation was very different. The equation of the fighting of the battle was not right. There were 70, 80 people on this side and several thousand, tens of thousands of people on the other side. It was not a real battle. It was something that it was a sacrifice for the sake of God. We may say that. But the Mu'tazili commentator Abu Ali al-Jubba'i says that here the implication of this verse is that if some group of Muslims are defeated in the battlefield, it means Allah has not helped them. Because if Allah helps someone, they will never be defeated. However, that help also comes, one of the conditions is the intention of the people, of the fighters. There's another condition for that, and that is hikmah and maslahah. Wisdom of God. The good reason behind the decision that whether they should be helped or not. He says that Allah, although Allah says this, but He never guarantees that, so that the believers, when they go to battlefield, they don't think that, well, because we are with Allah, we should not fear from enemy. Yes, we should not fear, but we may expect martyrdom as well. That's the case. So it's that feeling of sacrifice, martyrdom, which is important. And that's the maslahah that sometimes Allah does not help, does not send help. However, despite this fact, although these are all mentioned in Majmu' al-Bayan, reported from Abu Ali al-Jubbai, and then in Majmu' al-Bayan he adds something to that. He says that it may be the fact that sometimes the believers with real good intention are defeated in the battlefield, but they are never defeated in their hujjah. They are never defeated in their argument against the enemy over the history. And this is what happened in the incident of Karbala. Although Imam Hussein was defeated, but look at his argument against the enemies, which has been victorious. His proof and approval that he receives from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the help. That is great help. Actually, now you see, after the passage of time, we see how Imam Hussein was victorious. How did he receive the help of Allah? In a very different way, actually, isn't it? I mean, you see these millions of people going and paying tribute to him on Arba'in over the year. This means that although he was defeated in the battlefield, and that is actually what he mentions a couple of times in the battlefield, that Allah is not going to send His nusra to us because of a maslahah, because of a hikmah. And the hikmah and wisdom behind that is what in retrospect, we can see what was that hikmah and maslahah, to guide many people, to awaken Muslims about what was happening. By just, if for example, just suppose Imam Hussein was physically victorious in that battle, what would have happened? Nothing. But the way this whole scenario was planned was to give an everlasting victory to him, although he was martyred. And martyrdom itself is a victory, isn't it? In itself is a victory. So Abu al-Qasim Balkhi also mentions the same thing. And all these are actually Mu'tazili commentators. Abu Ali al-Jubbai, Abu al-Qasim Balkhi. He says that the believers are always supported by God. If they are victorious in the battlefield, well, that's the support of God. And even if they are defeated, like what happened to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, even if they are defeated in terms of logic, in terms of proof, they are victorious. People can judge afterwards how victorious they were. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Shaykh is just going to be joining us shortly, so if we just give him a couple of minutes, he should inshallah be with us. We're just talking to Shaykh. He's just having a few troubles joining the link. It doesn't seem to be working for him. So we'll give him another minute and let's see what we can manage to do. Okay, it seems like Shaykh is unable to join us. We're not sure what the issue is, but it looks like there's some tech issue. We'll inshallah look into it and try to get it resolved. So we will end this session here. Thank you very much for joining us, and inshallah we will see you all next week. Assalamu alaikum.